Looks like I got a couple of people out there. We are getting started with another Between the Two Stoves, okay? This is my little interview show that I kind of threw together a few months back, and I'm talking to Sacramento people, mostly local people in the food community, about what they're doing during COVID. I want to kind of talk a little bit about where this is going, but tonight I've got a very special interview. Billy Ngo, I think most of us in the Sacramento community know him as the chef of Kru in downtown Sacramento. And you may have heard that Kru was one of the first high-profile restaurants in town to have a employee test positive for COVID-19. And so they just went through a 14-day shutdown and affected the entire restaurant group because Kru has several operations. They have fish face poke, they have Kodaiko ramen, right? And they also have a little dog food, natural pet food concern as well, right? All of this stuff came kind of screeching to a halt. And I got a chance to talk to Bill about the whole experience, okay? And so he is a very, very busy man reopening this place. It was just this huge effort and getting it all tightened up, getting everybody ready to go back in and everything. It was just a heartbreaking event and everything. He gave me a little bit of his time and we taped an interview ahead of time. I got about 15 minutes out of his day right before he ran into a shift to do service on last Sunday night, okay? And so he's gonna give us a little time. I wanted him to kind of touch on, hey, what it all looked like, you know, for somebody in the industry if an employee comes up with COVID-19, okay? So I think a very valuable conversation to have. Looks like we got people, several people out there. I got Barry out there, Jennifer's out there. Good to see you, Jennifer. Sarah's out there. Yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. This is, you know, it's sad stuff that I'm talking about, and it's really not what I want to be doing. I kind of wanted to talk about that before we get going today. Just the other day, I was speaking with longtime friend of the show, Amy Greybush. If you know her, she runs Greybush Farms out in Dixon. She also runs the Pip Wine Bar in Dixon, California. Now, I don't know if you ever get out to Dixon. I don't myself, but she has been hooking me up with my grape juice all this time. And so I just go online, I look up Pip Wine, the Pip Wine Shop in Dixon, or you know, www, right? I get on there and I look around. Amy's been in the wine business for years and years, and she picks out a very different wine selection than I was used to in the past. So this has really been fun for me. I'm going online, I'm picking out new wines. She's bringing them. We're keeping a little wine journal at home. Sandy, my wife, she's keeping notes on it. She's loving it, right? And we're trying all these new wines, and it's really, really great stuff because I don't think she's really picking a lot of stuff that you're not gonna like, right? And so another great thing is she's able to deliver to Sacramento. I think it's like a 1 day a week or whatever. It's very informal. You got to kind of figure it out, but go check it out. But anyway, I meant to say, we started talking about the show, okay? Because she's a longtime friend of the show. She has been on before. You might remember I did a chicken home processing show, and Amy Greybush hosted it at her farm, and it was an awesome show, one of the best shows I ever did. And so we were talking about the show for a while, and she is just kind of opened up my eyes in a couple of ways. We were really talking about how it's so hard to do these shows and keep an upbeat tone, right? Because there's so much horrible stuff. And I started Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour as kind of a way to reach out to, you know, people, right? It's not, you know, for me, yeah, I can teach culinary arts and everything, but really I'm doing this for you know, to meet people and engage with people in one of the few ways we have left online, right? And so there's food and cooking and all of that, but it's kind of just an excuse to bring people together, right? And so that's how this all kind of started. And again, the name was Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour, and happy was the mission. It's actually in the name. Happy hour doesn't necessarily mean booze, by the way. Cheers, everybody, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean booze, but it does mean happy, okay? And so that's been my goal throughout this whole project. But again, I keep sliding down into these depressing sort of topics, right? And I want to keep it light. I want to keep it happy, okay? So I can't be happy all the time. You know, I kind of think it would be a good idea to reach out to you guys to kind of help me out with this, to develop content and maybe kind of give me ideas on what you would like to see on this show, and actually send me some clips and things like that of what you're doing, okay? If you've got a yard full of peach trees and you need people to come over and pick peaches, hey, make me a quick little 2 or 5 minute clip or whatever and talk about it and what you're doing and who you are and everything. And I'll throw it up on my show if you think it's worth sharing, right? If you are, you know, preserving a bunch of food and you want to talk about that technique, hey, make a clip, send it to me in my DMs and let's get it on the show, right? I want to create more of just a show. I want to create more of a community than just a show, than just me standing up here talking. This is the reason I started getting into the whole interviews on the side and everything. It can't just be about me, okay? So ideally, you know, we're going to be talking about real issues and everything, but again, I think we got to kind of keep it light and keep it happy because there is enough doom and gloom out there. I think sometimes it's good to kind of close your eyes and maybe see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil for a little while. Let's just sit down and have a little sip of wine and talk about food and cooking and all of that, okay? So there are some things that I'm looking for, okay? I would love to have other chefs live demo on this show, okay? We could do a live demo. It can't just be me, so hit me up and we'll work out an angle for a show. I like to bring technique into this stuff. I don't want to just cook through a recipe. So say we'll talk about a topic like pickling, sauerkraut or something like that, and you come on and do your sauerkraut that you do, right? But it's still that basic technique. I would love to get more chefs involved with that. I see a couple of chefs watching us right now, hint, hint, right? And so hit me up in the DMs. Let's get some more people on here to actually do the cooking, right? I could also, you know, we have these people that are out there in the community that are looking for volunteers and things like that to feed the hungry masses. Make a little clip about it, send it to my show. It's kind of hard to arrange the interviews for everybody. I can only fit in so many, but if I can get little short clips, I think I can kind of build that into a lot of shows and get a lot of good things out there for people, right? I want this to be a forum for people to share that kind of stuff, okay? If a little while back, I did a post in my industry cooking group page about gleaning. You know, I mentioned the peach trees that are full of fruit. If you have produce in your backyard, I'm going to have persimmons here pretty soon, right? Hey, I want a little clip about it, or let me know about it, and I'll kind of throw it out there and really get kind of that community gleaning idea going, because I think a lot of us in this industry town in Sacramento, I think a lot of us have some of those ingredients and we can kind of do a lot of bartering and sharing amongst us. So I'm throwing this out there as a forum for that kind of stuff. Again, hit me up in the DMs if you have anything along these lines. I want to kind of use this to put the word out there and have you guys create some of the content. Rule number 1 for all of this, okay? It needs to be related to local food, and I'm talking real food, okay? I don't want some, you know, funky processed food or something. I mean real food, okay? I don't want to do anything other than any processed food. You guys get it, right? So either real food or food education as far as those demos go, right? That's what I'm kind of looking for. And then the second rule, it's got to be happy. I want to keep it upbeat and everything. Hey, this is what we're doing. Hey, look at these melons out in my garden. This is what we're doing. Hey, give me a little clip and I'll play it on my show, guys, and bring you guys all into it. I think it'd be pretty cool. So you guys can kind of hit me up, and in the comments here, you can see what I'm, you know, tell me what you're thinking about this idea and help me out on this little project that I have running here. It would be super sweet, okay? So far, let me get down here. I'm looking at some notes here. Another thing, you know, if anybody is interested, maybe hit me up and we will talk about, I would love to get some help on that Facebook page, that industry Facebook page to, you know, maybe do some other creative things. Like I said, build a gleaning section on there where we can kind of share product. I also want to think about maybe fundraisers. There's a few organizations in town that I would love to throw some support their way. Okay, and so I would love to get a little help on that page. I'm like doing a fake TV network here, you know, a fake lifestyle network, and I could use a little help on the side. So if anybody's good at that social media stuff, I'm like the worst at it, and I would love to have help building some kind of community. If you want to reach out and help people, hey, help me help people for what it's worth, okay? For all of this, hit me up in direct messages and Facebook, Dave Nelson, okay? Just talk to me person to person. I'm just a guy, you know, and I kind of, it kind of looks like I got a little forum here. Let's use it for what it's worth, okay? And so again, send me 1 to 5 minute clips that I can use on the show. Send me people you would like to see interviewed. Think outside the box. I don't want just, you know, the big boys all the time. I've had some funky interviews. I had just some people cooking out of their kitchen and cater, you know, selling meals out of their kitchen. I've had organic farmers on here. I have had, you know, the big chefs, the little chefs, and everybody in between. By the way, that reminds me, right? Next week on Between Two Stoves, look for chef teacher / comedy guy, Justin Kaufman, okay? He's currently working in the big leagues. He gave me a pretty good rundown of how like Fortune 500 companies are operating these days in the days of COVID, right? He's working in like a hotel resort kind of a place. So I kind of picked his brain about, hey, what does it look like there? What does your day look like? And what are the new safety protocols they're doing for food? I am pretty interested in those questions right there. What's the latest, newest data on that? So I was kind of picking his brain about that. I'm going to be picking Billy's brain here in a minute about that stuff as well, right? Let's see. So that's going to be next week. That'll be Justin Kaufman. He's a little bit of a stand-up comedian. We're going to talk about that stuff too. He's a funny guy, and he's a chef, man, and he's a lot of fun, and he's been working in 3 different states recently, right? So I wanted to kind of touch on that, you know, interstate COVID situation there, okay? The following week, I hope this comes true, but I'm going to be talking to Amber Stott, if you can believe that, from Food Literacy Center. If you don't know her, she's a rock star in the world of child food literacy. Her Food Literacy Center has been bringing real fun food education and nutrition to kids in local food. She's a blast. She's got tons and tons of energy, and she just decided to bring food education to kids in this town, and she's been doing it for years and years. I'm sure so many of you people in this industry, food community in Sacramento, know who Amber Stott is, and if you don't, you just better look it up, or better yet, don't look it up. Wait for that show in a couple of weeks. I think she's going to be on, and it's going to be really, really cool. I want to ask her about working with children because I have no idea what that's like. So she's going to teach me how to do that, I hope. We'll see. I wanted to pick her brain about, you know, how foods in quarantine really, you know, or how folks in quarantine can keep the kids engaged and at home, right? And engaged about food, right? And so that's another thing I kind of wanted to talk about. So send me topics that you would like to see engaged on this little fake show in the meantime, okay? So let's get back to the subject at hand, getting to the interview for today. Billy Ngo Kru, okay, it was the first high-profile restaurant in Sacramento, like I said, to be shut down after an employee tested positive for coronavirus. On Wednesday, July 15th, after a 14-day closure and refit, Kru opened up again for service. You can imagine the reopening was a monster effort, but Bill made time to still sit down with me for a quick talk about what it all looked like from the inside. So now this is my second interview with Bill Ngo. I sure appreciate it. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring it on up for you. Okay. Take a look. And this is just a quickie. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Between Two Stoves. And once again, I've got a friend of the show, Bill Ngo from Kru here in Sacramento. And he recently underwent a closure, one of the first kind of big high profile closures in town due to COVID. And he generously agreed to come on and kind of tell me about it, about the experience. And now he's back up and running. And I kind of wanted to ask him how it's working now. Okay. So Bill, thanks again so much for being here. And I wanted to ask you, first of all, I mean, how did you find out? Was it somebody from outside calling in or somebody from inside?
Oh, you mean it was an employee that felt sick. Actually, she got sick and then wasn't sure what it was. She went to the ER. It was at home. She was sick on a Sunday night, and she called the hospital. Said she doesn't feel well, is coughing, chest pains. they told her to come in the next day. She felt the same way after she woke up. She went in. Originally, they took the scans, blood work, did the COVID test. From the X-ray scans or whatever, they thought she had a lung infection. But then she still stayed home, didn't come back to work, waited 2 days for the results, came back positive. So according to procedures, I mean, right when we found that out, like, it was super tough. We had to decide close. And according to the CDC and health department, is if you spent any time, I mean, if any employees are there that test positive, they have to be sent home 14 days. They have to be quarantined for 14 days and test negative before they can come back. So, but the thing was with this employee, if any other employees are around this employee for more than 15 minutes, each person has to go on quarantine. This employee was a cook and works in the sushi bar. So everybody was pretty much around the whole back of the house has been around this person. So we were just like, we just got to shut this thing down, get everybody tested, get the whole place sanitized. And and that was a tough
question. Quick question, Bill. Was she in contact with the other restaurants? I think, didn't you have to close down the other locations?
Oh,
Geico, I think.
Yes.
And...
Not her. We shared several cooks from Kodaiko and Kru. So, the cooks work in the sushi bar at Kru and they work in the kitchen at Kodaiko. So the sushi bar, if you work in the sushi bar, it's like a close area. So if you're within 6 feet for longer than 15 minutes, then, you need a quarantine. So we just that was a tough decision to do 14 days. And the way things are now, originally we're like, let's get everybody tested. And then if it's everybody comes back negative, then we could reopen. But the testing sites, so everybody took multiple tests. I took 2 tests. The tests are normally supposed to be 2 to 5 days to get results. But all the clinics and all the testing sites are so swamped. It ended up being 2 weeks anyways. I think I took my first test on the 3rd. I didn't get the results back until exactly 2 weeks later. So even before the results came back,
I mean, this is a very common thing that I'm hearing out there. And so if people are listening to this, so you're quarantined for 14 days, you take the test, and by the time you get your results, your quarantine's over anyway. You don't even know if you had it or not.
One thing we did do was we wanted to, we told everybody to take multiple tests. So I took 2, almost everybody took 2 to 3 within 3 to 10 days apart of each other, just to show, within the time it comes back all negative. And the thing that's pretty crazy too, I mean, it was really a very hard decision because we had to close not just Kru, we had to close Kodaiko. And it ended up being more than 14 days because it's 14 days for quarantine, and then you need to come back and get the place clean and prepped up and ready for service. Like, we lost, just for the Kru, one restaurant alone, over 250,000 in sales. That's a really, really tough, especially having to deal with the first shutdown and everything else going on. So, I mean, but, we did the right thing.
Here, Bill, let me jump in. I got to say, I really appreciate that you guys were totally transparent. As soon as it happened, you guys were out there and getting the news out there. And I think I saw that from a lot of people out there in social media too, and I think that's what people want to know is like, what's going on? You really communicated about it. And it sounds like you really went above the call of duty. I mean, right out of the gate, you're just here to close.
I think it's very important. I think we've been open for 15 years. People love the restaurant and they trust us, and we just want to be transparent and do the right thing. I mean, we didn't have to. I mean, we could have just sent that person home and stayed open and did whatever and just cleaned the place. But, we just wanted to do things right. And also doing it right, too. It proved wearing masks work. There's skeptics out there and people say, what's up with masks? Can't breathe, all that bullshit. But it pretty much proved it works because we had somebody that's positive that's been around all the other sushi chefs and cooks, but she was this person so diligent on wearing her mask, never taking it off in the restaurant. Nobody else tested positive in the restaurant that was in the kitchen or sushi bar. So that proves the masks work. Yeah,
great news.
Yeah.
Great news. Awesome. Yeah. You found out, as soon as you found out, did you drop time on yourselves? Do you have to call the local health authorities and yourselves? Or how's that work?
No. So when we first found out, I knew that person was sick, but she said the doctors, the original thing, they thought it was just a lung infection, but they don't know because they said from x-rays, blood work, they were waiting for all that stuff back. They said the original scan and x-rays look like it's a lung infection. But they gotta wait until the COVID test comes back. So 2 days later, she came back. They came back. It's positive, but she hasn't been back to work since that Sunday night. So now she called me on Wednesday and told me, and then soon I found out. That's why I just alerted. It was like 2:00, and we were set to open that day at 4. So I called the managers. We had a quick meeting, and then we hurried up and called all the to-goers to cancel their orders. Hey, we're not doing your order. This is what happened. We had reservations that night too for the patio and stuff. So we just canceled everybody's reservations and then just let everybody know. And then that's when we called the health department and asked them what should we do, how should we go about it, and then that's what we did.
They kicked in, and did they provide some assistance to you as far as like, hey, what's next and all that, or are they pretty much?
Oh no, they gave us the general guidelines, what we should do, what you're supposed to do. And that's how we knew, like, that person needs to go home, but anybody else that was around that person needs to be quarantined as well. So that's why we just decided to close the whole restaurant, because almost every sushi chef or cook was around that person for more than 15 minutes before on Sunday. So we're like, just close the whole thing down.
You couldn't do business if you wanted to. Everyone was quarantined, right? And yeah, and I mean, you mentioned, $250,000 in sales. That's also reverberating out through all of your employees, all of your suppliers, and everything like that. It's just such a big hit. And my heart truly, truly goes out to you guys and all your employees, the whole crew, man, and everybody out there that's struggling in the industry. It's just killing me. I'm stuck in my little stupid kitchen watching this from afar, man, and it's just killing me watching you guys do your thing, man. And so, props to you guys for keeping it going. Were there any new protocols that the health department threw out there for you guys? I mean, if other industry folks are watching, I mean, what new things should they know?
Oh man, I can't think of anything right off the top of my head. It's just been the same. The
same sanitation and safety protocols you always follow. I was wondering if it would like step up to where, you have to be like, those high risk population situations, if you have to work like you're in like a long-term care facility or something now.
No, I mean, I don't know the standards of sanitizing the place. They want you to sanitize before you reopen, but we brought in this crazy company that comes in that actually does hospitals and stuff. They spray the whole place down with some kind of, it's not toxic, but it's like it's a water-based
it's disinfectant.
It's a disinfectant that's not a chemical. That's like with the electricity, so it's safe. You can get on humans, but then they charge it and it goes to bacteria. So we have the whole building rooftop all the way down sprayed with that stuff. It was pretty crazy.
Let's just say it's magnets.
Yeah.
It's magnets. We'll just leave it at that. Wow, that's amazing. The things they figure out. Hey, I don't suppose we talk about sushi grade tuna and flash freezing and things like that. Have you heard any data about like flash freezing with COVID? That's something I'm curious about, and I wonder if you want to say anything. No, okay.
No.
Okay. All right. So, hey, it's a good question though. I'm still gonna look for that answer. So on the service side, you mentioned like masks and everything, but everybody's outside now. Is there any like talk about where you guys could expand some outdoor dining out there? We've seen some tenting around town. Any things like that around East Sac?
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing now. Like everybody's like putting patio dining is encouraged. No dining on the inside because airflow and everything. What we're going to try to do is, we're lucky we already have 2 patios, but we ordered some tables, been adding some tables onto the sidewalk. We're lucky to have this parking lot too, so we're going to use some of these spaces and actually turn it into a little patio out here.
I don't know if you know this. I think I mentioned it. I used to work in that building back when it was.
Rosebud? On Yamo.
And I've always been a roller, right? I've skated all my life, and I had my little hardcore skate group meeting in that parking lot right next door to that building. I'm telling you, throw some tents up out there, and the whole atmosphere, just throwing it out. But anyway, I'm hoping you can find some options out there and everything. Let's see. Another thing I wanted to kind of bring out is like very common in the industry. Everybody knows it. I mean, healthcare isn't that prevalent in our industry. A lot of people are sick and they don't exactly call in. They still keep working, right? So can you kind of speak to that nowadays? I mean, I imagine everybody.
No, it's very, very different now. Like if you have any symptoms, anything, you're sick, you call in, or you know, the managers, all of us, we're trained to know, like, if anybody is sick, you send them home. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just kind of a big change in the industry. I mean, because we are that industry, and famous for.
Oh yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, especially for cooks, right? You know, you always come in. You don't call in sick. You're hungover. You're sick or whatever. Don't be a bitch. Just come in. But you know, it's very different now. Yeah,
it's completely. That's all got to be out the window, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. How about the bar? Anything like that? Any talk about I'm still curious about COVID freezing, cold, affecting COVID, and, how ice could get infected and things like that.
We are, well, I mean, there is no bar service now, right? You can't sit in the bar, but we are allowed to do cocktails to go and beverages to go.
How's that work? I mean, people drive up and they can get a cocktail to go, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we were doing batch cocktails that we bottle up, single serving, or like kits that you can get, like a bigger bottle, and we'll give you the ice and we'll give you the garnishes, and you can get like a whole kit that can make 6 cocktails or something like that.
You got to get creative, man. You got to figure out how to work, and that's awesome. Okay. So before all of this happened, we were going back and forth for years over gloves. I mean, is it sanitary to wear them? Is it unsanitary, right? Because people lean on them too much. And now they're not washing their hands as much, So any new info on that? What are your thoughts on that these days?
I mean, everybody's wearing gloves now. I hate gloves. I mean, especially for working the sushi bar, because you kind of have to feel what we're doing when we're cutting the fish, when we're making nigiri. But I mean, we're doing it all now, so hopefully it's not a normal thing. But I mean, as long as you're changing it often, it works. But if you're wearing the same glove all night, that doesn't do any good. But I don't. I'm used to wearing it now, but I just don't like it because it just. You need to feel the food, especially for sushi, right? So I mean, I think it's a little different on the line. But for us, we're playing cutting fish. I feel like I can't get as detailed. But we all are wearing gloves now.
It's a sensitivity thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a numbness, right? And so, food danger zone, no changes there, right? That's all the same. I think I kind of covered the big questions, man. Anything you want to add? I mean, any about the experience or anything? You want to kind of talk about what it all looked like?
No, man, this is crazy. This is taking it day by day. Don't you know how long this shutdown is going to be for? Just patio dining, and I don't know. Just it's a crazy year. Just gotta get through it.
Well, I know everybody out there sending love to you and all the other guys in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah, we're happy. We're happy. At least we still do takeout, and then we have the patio. So glad to be back open. We reopened last Wednesday, so just happy to be back open.
Everybody hear that? They're back open. Just started up on last Wednesday, and you're going back in tomorrow, right?
Yep. Oh, I'm going in right now.
You're going in right now, Billy. Man, I still appreciate you making the time for this.
You're welcome.
Valuable conversation, and I think people out there need to know the realities of what they're going to be looking at.
Cool. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, man. Good luck. Have a good shift, man.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, what a guy, right? He just went through it. There were some big takeaways during that thing, right? So 14 days that they had to close down, and that's basically 14 days from the last occurrence. So they had the one employee that was sick, and then no one else tested positive. If they went for a week and then had another employee test positive, it would have been another starting point for another 14 days. Pretty wild. Any employee that was in contact with the person for more than 15 minutes, if they were within 6 feet with it for 15 minutes, that person's on quarantine too. And so in a kitchen, it's tight. I mean, how do you stay away from each other, right? Other big takeaway, sorry. all the food that day that they had to close down. Remember, he was talking about they had reservations and to-go orders. All that fish was in-house, right? Everything was in-house. And he didn't talk about it, but I'm sure you and I can imagine it all just got dumped, all of that product. It's just heartbreaking. He mentioned about $250,000 in losses because other locations had to close down as well. Unbelievable. And again, no one got sick at the restaurant. It was an employee that tested positive, and it never seems to have gone into the restaurant. So let's see, other things to take away. Magnetic disinfectants are a thing now, right? I don't know if it's magnets, but that's what I'm going to call it until I hear a better term, okay? Some sort of electrical charge that is killing viruses, bacteria, and everything else as a disinfectant in the properties. Back in the day before COVID, we would use a sanitizing solution, but now it's disinfectant. Usually those are something you don't want to ingest, and so you kind of have to wash that off and then go with another sanitizer as well, right? And so we've just added kind of a big step to cleanliness in the kitchen. Bill was really, really great making time for this. As you can see, he's a busy dude. He was just sitting in his car right before the shift. He's like, okay, we can do this thing, right now. And so I really, really appreciate him doing this. And I just have to say that if you're thinking about going out to a restaurant, usually the safest restaurants to go to are the places that just had a little scare under their belt, okay? They're the ones that basically went through and cleaned every nook and cranny and did a little bit of additional training and everything, getting everybody refreshed on these things. And people coming back from something like this are much, much more mindful. So if you're thinking about, it sounds funny, but if you're thinking about going to a restaurant, think about someone that's gone through something like this, right? It's not like they are to be avoided from here on out. They're usually the ones with the latest training and technology, okay? With that being said, that is kind of our show today. I do want to remind everybody, start sending me clips in direct messages on Facebook. Dave Nelson, just hit me up. I'm just a guy. I need content for this show. Right now, I feel like it's just me, and I would love to bring some of you beautiful people into this, okay? Keep it light, keep it happy, keep it upbeat. That's the message, and keep it about food. Keep it about real food. I don't want to talk about Taco Bell or, junk food. Or I want real food coming from this region. I want to support the businesses in this region. I want to support the people of this region that aren't even in business, but they're into food and they love food and they love the community and they want to know more about it, okay? That's what this is all about. I hope you guys are digging it, okay? I'm sure having fun with it. Don't forget to check me out on Mondays at 4 o'clock. Those are all cooking lessons, okay? That's the Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour. That might morph into, I'm trying to get more chefs on. If you guys know a chef, have them pitch an episode to me and we'll do it together, okay? It'll be awesome. That's every Monday at 4 o'clock, Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour, sorry. Every Thursday at 5, just like tonight, we are doing Between Two Stoves. And these are more of interview shows, right? You're going to see an interview. And again, I've got a great show coming up next week. They're all great, but this one's may very well be the greatest, okay? It's going to be Justin Kaufman next week. And then the one following that has definitely got to be probably one of the greatest. I mean, how do you pick one, right? But it's going to be Amber Stott. I know it's going to happen. It's going to be awesome, okay? So stick around, guys. I love you. I love you guys getting into this stuff, and I love hearing from you guys. Anything you guys need, hit me up and let me know if there's anything I can do for you, okay? Take care. It was a great show today, and I hope you enjoyed. And please support your local restaurant community as much as humanly possible. They're great people, and they are helping people themselves. Guarantee it, okay? That's the show tonight. Don't forget, everybody, that party, she's always happening in the kitchen, okay?